Alrighty, so it's me again. I'm gonna go ahead and do another video for today. We're actually gonna start this video out by reading Numbers chapter 33, and I hope that everybody's doing good, by the way. We're gonna reach Numbers chapter 33 verses 50 through 56, and I've got my notebook here, so I'm gonna be looking down for just a minute. Okay, so on the plains of Moab by the Jordan, across from Jericho, the Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the Israelites and say to them, when you cross the Jordan into Canaan, drive out all the inhabitants of the land before you. Destroy all their carved images and their cast idols, and demolish all their high places. Take possession of the land and settle in it. For I have given you the land to possess. Distribute the land by lot according to your clans. To a larger group give a larger inheritance, and a smaller group give a smaller one. Whatever falls to them by lot will be theirs. Distribute it according to your ancestral tribes. But if you do not drive out the inhabitants of the land, those you allow to remain will become barbs in your eyes and thorns in your sides. They will give you trouble in the land where you will live. And then I will do to you what I plan to do to them." Love this. I love this. Okay. So this is what I wrote. When you cross over to take possession, and not only take possession, because remember he said you're going to take possession because he's given it to you, but settle there, you must drive out all the inhabitants of the land before you. Now, when God gave me this message, he really started to pour into me, okay, what do those inhabitants look like of today? You know, because a lot of us, we know, are stepping into our seasons, stepping into our callings, stepping into abundance and prosperity and breakthroughs and deliverances, but we also need to remember that God gave us specific instructions for us in our lives in order to receive these and in order to walk in and take possession in the way that he wants us to. So what does that look like? So I wrote, that means the people and the relationships that God has told you to let go of, to get away from, to stay away from, because some of us are being disobedient still and holding on to those situations and those people and those relationships and those circumstances that we have been called out of and that we know that God has told us to get out of, and we're still trying to hold on to that. No, you can't. It says clearly you need to get rid of those inhabitants lest they become barbs to you, so you've got to let them go. What else does that look like? Idols of today. That can look like anything in your life that God has told you to get rid of. If he's told you to remove distractions in your life, if he's told you to let go of certain things in your life, certain people, like I said, jobs, relationships, circumstances that are not godly, it could be anything that he told you to get rid of that you're making an idol. You need to get rid of that. You need to get rid of it because you're about to go into the land to take a hold of those blessings that God has told you that he has promised you to bring into your life. And you do not want to be hindering that at this time. Willful sinning, drinking, smoking, whatever it is that God is telling you to stop, being, in a relationship that you're not married to, a man you're not married to, a woman you're not married to. You need to let go of that. So willful sinning, whatever that looks like for you in your life. Anything the Lord has told you to put away, anything. It could be anything that you're being disobedient in. Ungodly morals, fleshly desires that are impure. These are just a few things that I'm naming off the top of my head, but what God has told you to let go of in your life and that you might still be holding on to. Let it go. I know I said this in my video the other day, but you need to let it go. You need to let it go because you don't want it to be a hindrance to you, and you don't want it to be holding you back in any way, okay? So I this really means putting God first above all else. And I've talked about this as well. You need to be putting God first in everything and removing any and everything that he's called you to do, no matter what you see before you, because remember, that's faith. You've got to remember, you've got to have faith in God that he's going to take care of whatever it is that you need when you need it, especially in this time, you know. Okay, so I put, this is serious. And when we receive those blessings, we have to use them in the way God desires us to, not becoming proud or taking advantage or using or abusing them or trying to hold on to people and idols and situations God has clearly told us to drive out of our lives, lest what happens to us, what happens to them happens to us. So we've got to be very careful, because what did the last verse say? It said, or the last two verses, it said, but if you do not drive out the inhabitants of the land, those you allow to remain will become barbs in your eyes and thorns in your side. They will give you trouble in the land where you will live. And then I will do to you what I plan to do to them. So those things that you're so dearly holding on to, that you know you're supposed to let go of, whatever happens to them, which you know is not going to be good, because God told you to what? Let it go. Get rid of the inhabitants. If you're holding on to that, that will be your stumbling block. That whatever happens to them will happen to you. It clearly says that. So when God brings you into your new season, and he brings you into that breakthrough that you're so wanting to have in your life and happen right now, and that deliverance you don't want to take anything that you were told to let go of, and you don't want to go back to it either, because you're being what? Disobedient. And remember, God rewards us for our obedience for him, because what does obedience show him? Obedience shows that we love him. You know, and I'm not saying we're going to be perfect in our obedience. We might fall here and there, but we don't have that will to. We don't have that want to. We don't have that desire to. And as soon as we mess up, we are right in front of God. Forgive me, God. I'm sorry. Please take this away from me. Please don't let me fall. Please don't let me fail. You know, you don't want to willfully do that. And if you're holding on to willful sin and you think, oh, Jesus died for me, you know, it's okay. I could just go to God whenever I want to, because, hey, it's going to be no, you cannot give into the flesh. You've got to be casting that flesh out, away. You've got to resist it. You've got to resist it, because that flesh is forever prevalent there, and it wants what Satan wants. It wants what Satan wants, and it's there to kill, steal, and destroy from you. You know, you've got to be operating in the spirit. And you've got to be operating when and where God asks you to. Jesus did die for you, but it's not for you to use and abuse anytime you feel like it, because you want to be doing what you want to do in the sinful nature. No, you've got to let it go. You've got to let it go. And there are many of us that are still holding on to those things, and we clearly know that we had to let it go. So I'm telling you guys right now, let those inhabitants go, so that you can go on to receive the possession and the land and the promises and the breakthroughs and the abundances and the deliverances and the gifts and everything that God wants to give for you, to you. Don't let anything hold you back. Don't let these silly things hold you back. Let them go. Let them go. Okay. So that was my message today. Gosh, I just, I'm thinking now, it's not a game. It's not a joke. It is not, let's play around with fire, because you are going to get burned. I know you guys have heard that before. You're going to get burned. Let it go. We've got to let it go and walk in the Spirit, walk in God, walk with God, no matter what. I love y'all. I hope you guys have a good day, and I'm going to do one more after this. All right. Bye.